My name is Michael Berry, and before I met Clay a couple of years ago, I was heading for retirement. So I've been reclassified as semi-retired after meeting Clay. The first time I met Clay was 2 years ago when he was installed as the president. And over the last several years, we've had a chance to get to know each other and spent quite a bit of time. And probably no surprise to those of us here, much of our conversation had to do with the racial climate in Grand Rapids. And it's an easy pivot to begin to talk about the relationship that the African American community and people of color in general have with the police department. And that relationship, no surprise, on the heels of what took place, 2 or 3 years ago in Ferguson, and the Department of Justice having taken a look at that, and the reports that have been placed into the public record. There's been a huge spotlight put on the relationship between the police department and the communities that they serve. And so it's in light of that that Clay has asked me to be the liaison between the NAACP GR and the police department. I've happily agreed to do that. It has given me the opportunity to have a number of wonderful meetings with police chief and Clay together, occasionally separately, in order to try and develop some relationships of trust so that we can identify whatever the problems might be and hopefully begin to move some of them forward. Earlier this month, I spent 3 weeks doing a deep dive into the relationship between the police department and the African American community here. And what I realized is what you all well know: we have problems in Grand Rapids. And so it's a good news, bad news situation. The good news is that I think we have leadership that is highly motivated to deal with whatever the problems are. If people aren't motivated, it doesn't matter how smart you are or how clear you are the needs, problems that need to be fixed. And so, Mayor, I'm so happy to hear your comments about motivation from the City Hall. I certainly know, meeting with the police chief, how interested he is, how enthusiastic he is in terms of meeting with the community. For those of you who are familiar with what's been in the newspaper the last, say, year or so, you know that Chief Rahinsky is very involved in trying to reach out to the local community in general and the African American community in particular. We did identify some problems. There are barriers to racial equity on the police force. But in addition to the disparity on the police force, we also know, according to the DOJ's report going out of Ferguson, is that racial disparity is only one problem, and it's probably not even the most important problem. The most important problem is the relationships that the police department has with the people they serve. Even more than racial parity on the police department, on the police force, is how the police force relates to the community that they serve. Clay and I have been able to do a deep dive. We understand some of the problems that are there, and I'm here to tell you that the two of us and the rest of the team at the NAACP are going to do what we can do to help identify those barriers, make them clear to the leaders, and then hopefully, well, here's the good news about the problems. They are barriers, but they're not immovable. These barriers are not immovable. They can change, they can move, but it's going to take people who have a will to do that to make it happen, and I believe we have that team in place. Thank you very much.